cents a piece plus 50 cents to mail them, correct?
So Alistair was asking, I can hear everything, and I think everybody can hear me, so it's not on my end. The audio's working for me.
Well, I hate that corrupt Menendez just won again in Jersey.
Yeah, Shirley, I know. Yeah, I know.
The people in Jersey didn't know about that progressive that was running. I forgot her name.
Lisa McCormick.
Yeah, they didn't even know she was running.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people in my county had, the whole signs up and everything for Menendez and everything. And I was just like, wow. Even a guy as blatantly corrupt as him, he still gets support like that. Wow.
Yeah, the establishment, them, even when he was on trial and got, they said, oh, we stick by him if he run for re-election.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and they sure did.
They still doing the same goddamn thing.
And that's why I'm not supporting them. That's why I'm not going to support them, because why support the cheating and the corruption? What's the point? That's the way I actually do see it. It's like, I don't want to support that. That turns me, like someone who votes, that turns me away. I was like, okay, I'm not going to support that. I mean, if you're going to keep, continuing on with, the nonsense, just not going to support.
So I got to go back and go back to another thank you. Thank you to all of the grassroots candidates that ran. I mean, seriously, because it takes a lot of effort and, just banging your head up against the wall. And hopefully a lot of you have learned about the political process and can help us learn as we can really get some stuff done, whether it be inside or outside the system. So thanks to all of those who honestly try to run an honest campaign and an information campaign, or came close. And by the way, congratulations to Ken Mejia of the Green Party, who actually got on the ballot.
Oh,
so thank you to him, because he's been fighting for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's my breaking news.
Ooh, breaking.
Have you guys heard? Go ahead.
Senate Intel ex-security director indicted on false statements charges in probe of possible leaks. A former security director for the Senate Intelligence Committee was indicted on charges of giving false statements to FBI agents looking into possible leaks of classified information, the Justice Department announced Thursday night. The guy name is James A. Wolf, 58 years old, served as the panel security director for 29 years, according to the feds. He worked with a New York Times reporter, and they got her records and emails, and that's how they found out he was leaking stuff to that. So I don't know what the outcome of that's going to be.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And she had a romantic relationship with the guy too, so.
Okay. Figures, right?
Storks and Page. Okay, Sling Blade.
Go Celts.
The Washington Capitals won the championship tonight.
Not my team, so
It's not mine either.
Screw
And
them.
did you hear about the scandal today? president of our basketball operations had to resign.
For what?
Was it for racist comments?
Huh?
Was it for
Who you
racist
talk-
comments like the Clippers one?
No, I don't know if it was that, but he was saying different things about different players, the coaching, and different things. And they said his wife created all these different Twitter accounts.
Uh-huh.
I think his name is Brian Cagliano.
Oh,
Yeah,
Brian,
he
yeah.
had to resign.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, Alice.
yeah.
What's up, Gillis?
Hello. How's everyone doing?
Doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Usual. Trying to currently now that I've got my job secured, now trying to find an apartment.
Ah.
Where's your permanent position?
I am going to be a science teacher in Midwest City, in Oklahoma. So I'm currently slated to be here for the next 5 years.
Ah, cool.
So sorry to burst your bubble, but
Congratulations.
5 years as a teacher in Oklahoma.
you're bound to be the working poor for 5 years.
The one benefit I get from this is that I'm looking at an approximately $10,000 stipend at the end of this, which doesn't sound like a lot for given the amount of time I'm putting in. The key benefit though is just that it's as soon as that 5 years is up, that bonus is immediate. I get it all at once.
All at once, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
That's good.
5 years, it sets you up for the next job, unless you want to stay.
The Philadelphia 76ers, Brian.
Well, that's what I'm kind of trying to decide right now. Also, I wanted to get a national certification, so I could guarantee that I could teach anywhere I wanted.
Yeah.
And have a little extra bargaining at the table. But that's like way down the line, and that's saying I survived 5 years. So
Yeah. Oklahoma, you've got a tightrope to walk when they ask about evolution.
no, actually, that's not it.
Yeah.
Actually, not as much as you think. Although we do have those Yahoo. I mean, we do have Yahoos who do try and shove that stuff in. But we've actually managed to keep that under control much more than you think.
What grade are your students?
High school. So I'm going to be teaching 10 through 12, mostly. The only problem right now is the fact that, well, there's a couple. Well, the big problem is that I've got 4 classes I need to teach: AP Physics, General Physics, Pre-AP Chemistry, and General Chemistry.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, good luck teaching a bunch of bags of hormones and anger.
I hope you have a lot of patience.
No, that's not the problem. The problem is that I've got 4 classes I need a grade for.
Yeah. It's have they asked you to coach anything yet?
No, but they have asked if I would be interested in sponsoring a student organization. Which I said, yeah, but you know, I'm not sure I'm going to feel as confident about that once I actually get started. I wouldn't be against it though. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not like I'd be against it. It's just, you know, right now I'm not sure if I'm in the best position to be doing that straight off the bat. That's all.
Start your own thing, like the Dungeons and Dragons.
Well, a lot of schools make them do one or be a coach.
No. Thankfully, you know, it's not one of those situations. It's just, you know, it's more if I want to do it, would I be willing to? So I don't know. I mean, I'm not upset about it. It's just, you know, kind of one of those awkward moments.
Yeah, you can have some fun with a science class now.
Yeah, I mean, that's the part I am looking forward to. I'm still not entirely sure where I'm going to be going with it, but, you know, there's room.
Explosions,
stuff out.
Magnets. I mean, you get to cover impulse and things like that. So
yeah, those are the stuff I'm really looking forward to doing. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But I got to work myself up to that. You know, I can't just expect my kids to be right there at the moment.
You know what you can do? You could teach the students how to make crystal meth and all that type of shit.
Look, I'm not. Like, there may be a lot of drugs that flow through Oklahoma City, but I'm not about to become Walter White. I don't have. Contrary to popular belief, there isn't a lot of room that you can bury bodies in Oklahoma besides Lake Hefner. And unfortunately, that's where all the rich people go. So, not exactly the most subtle place you could drop dead bodies in.
You could make all your students your dealers and carriers for extra grades.
That'd be the worst secret. That would literally be the worst kept secret you could have.
Extra credits, and like an A+ for taking it over state borders.
Are you trying to get me fired? I just got my job, man.
God damn it! You're trying to get me fired? Nah, I'm only joking. But seriously, do it. Make lots of money. And the best thing is you get all your students to go to the chemist and buy the pseudoephedrine stuff. So you've got a constant supply of pseudoephedrine.
Ryan's got this whole thing planned out in his head, man.
Fuck yeah, man. Lucky I'm not a teacher.
Yeah, thank God you're not a teacher.
So what's the latest in Australia, Ryan? What's going on over there, down under?
Our government's fucked.
So it's about the same as you saw.
The controlling party in the Senate is falling apart bit by bit. Thank fuck. Because it's just a shit party. Racist, rednecks, fucking... well, when you have a party called One Nation, what do you expect? It's not like a one nation as inclusive of everyone. It's a one white nation. So
oh God, what charming fellows!
It's a woman. It's a woman in charge.
Like I said, what charming fellows!
So you got to in Australia, the way that it works, that if you can get on the ballot by paying like $4,000.
Oh,
so
okay.
There's no you need a minimum 2% polling to get on the ballot. You just need to pay for it. And then when each time you get a vote, the government pays you. So if you get like 200,000 votes nationwide, I think it's like $2.50 a vote. And you get to keep that money even if you don't get voted in. So, you know, if you get 200,000 votes nationwide, that's what, $500,000 in the back pocket. That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, it's similar to ours here a bit, where you have to get a certain number of signatures and pay to be on the ballot. It's nuts, man. Yeah. It's really anti-grassroots to the core.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I understand, like, you don't need... I think you need, like, 400 signatures to get on the ballot as well. So you need a minimum amount of money, like $4,000 and 400 signatures to get on the ballot, which is not hard for someone who
Echo, turn on lab.
Echo, don't turn on lab.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Echo, turn on pornography.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I thought I was muted.
You're right, man. It's all good.
Oh god.
So this woman, she's been, and then what happened is she got in the mid-90s, and she was anti-Asian, anti-Muslim. She's anti-Muslim. She's anti-Asian. She's basically a white nationalist, and she got in, and then immediately got the next election got voted out, because she's a fucking idiot. But then what happened in 2015, the Prime Minister changed the voting rules for the Senate, so he thought would go in his favor, so he could pass all his policies. But the problem is it backfired, and it got this woman re-elected, and re-elected in a big way, to the point where she had balance of power in the Senate.
Right.
So he was like, and she's pretty much blocked nearly everything, every major thing that he's wanted.
That he has won. Right.
Yeah. So he wanted to do the Donald Trump tax cuts, the Australian version, but she blocked it. So, which was good, because it's $80 billion in tax cuts to banks and stuff. See, the thing is, our Prime Minister is an ex-Goldman Sachs what we can do in Australia is what we can do is hold what's called a royal commission, and it's basically, if you get summoned to a royal commission, you have to show up and you have to give evidence, and you can't. If you lie, you go to prison, pretty much, and you have to bring all paperwork and documents and stuff. So the opposition has been calling for a royal commission into banking, and him being the Goldman Sachs banker he's been like, nah, we're not going to hold it for 2.5 years. He's like, nah. And then it got to the point where everybody was like, yeah, you've got to hold it, dude. You can't just fucking keep shoveling this under the carpet. And it turns out that banks were charging customers for no services, sending their customers bankrupt with dodgy services and stuff. Like, really, it's just come out that the government, the prosecutors just charged Deutsche Bank, ANZ, which is Australian and New Zealand Bank Corporation, and one other bank with cartel charges.
Right.
So, for 2.5 years, this guy's been saying, nah, there's no need for it. There's no need for it. And then it comes out that, banks and financial institutions have been ripping off Australians to the tunes of billions of dollars every year. So, and he wants to give, I think it's $19 billion in tax breaks to banks and financial institutions, because earning $40 billion a year is not enough.
Apparently, yeah.
So that's pretty much the major thing that's happening in Australia at the moment. We've got a cardinal who's got to face court over historical child sex abuse, and he's like the cardinal under the Pope. So he's
one step below the Pope.
Yeah, Yeah, he's that powerful in the Catholic Church. So he's like one step below the Pope. They were saying that he was going to be the next Pope. So if this one died, but I don't think the Pope Francis would. Cardinal Pell would die before Pope Francis died. So,
Right.
But yeah, that's pretty much what's happening in Australia at the moment. And we're fighting with this, and it's like America fights with it. The handing down of political seats to family members. So, like, you'll have, like, I don't know, Bill Clinton, and then say Chelsea Clinton went and run for his seat after. You know what I mean? Like dynasties.
The Bushes.
Yeah, the Bushes, the Clintons, and it will be the Obamas. I don't doubt that, the Obamas will, one of the daughters will step up eventually.
I mean, that's definitely a possibility. Although so far it seems like Malia more concentrated on college and personal activism than being actually in politics, which all power to her. Frankly, it might honestly be for the better for her to try and stay out of Washington as much as she can.
Yeah, I don't see that the same as you do. I see that as her trying to build up some cred so she can run.
Yeah.
Yeah, she knows that she's on the shit list. And just like Hillary, she was on the shit list in 2000, and she knew that she had to work her way back up before she could run for president.
Yeah.
Yes. So we've got
But in Malia's case, she's still got like what 10 years before she could actually run. And there's a lot that can happen in a decade. I mean, we went from 2 wars to 7 in that span of time.
It would be actually.
We went from having a black guy with a Muslim name as our president to Donald Trump. So, I mean, anything can happen in 10 years.
It would be fun. Oh, it would actually be funny if she went up against her, if she actually did the research herself and actually go up against her own dad's credibility. That would actually be pretty funny to actually see that.
Very truthful. Well, like I remember when I got to college, I started out as a pretty run-of-the-mill liberal, and now I'm an anarchist. So who knows? College has a weird way of getting people to reconsider their points of view in ways that you wouldn't think ordinarily possible.
Well, she took a job at, what was it, an ice cream shop or a breakfast restaurant, where she has to have a crew of Secret Service around her all the time, and obvious moves that she had to say that she worked for a living, even though she is. I can't believe her father wouldn't be helping her out financially at all.
Oh, of course.
Well, I mean, she's going to Harvard, so I doubt that. Yeah, I doubt that she's not getting some degree of financial support. I mean, it could totally be scholarship, but honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if Obama, if she thought her daughter was serious enough, yeah, why not send her to the best school? Well, he knows.
Yeah, I just don't agree with dynasties. I really don't.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point.
The thing is when we look at the Labor Party in Australia, they're supposed to be the Democratic Party, so they're supposed to be for the working class, for unions, and for all this other, for minorities and disadvantaged, disfranchised people. Mm-hmm. But the problem is when you become a politician you become
That opens up the
what?
window.
Yeah, but you become part of the wealthy. So you're not a part of the working class anymore. You basically leave it behind. And children of these politicians have never, really been in a situation where their family have been struggling. You know what I mean? So for them to turn around and go, oh yeah, I'm for the working class unions and all this type of stuff.
They've got to.
But being brought up in such advantage, it doesn't make any sense. So.
Yeah, and like West Virginia just voted in a Democrat called Joe Manchin, who today stated that he was going to endorse Trump.
Oh.
Wait, what?
He's going to endorse Trump for 2020.
Oh.
You can ask Stevie. That probably doesn't surprise her. I mean, he votes along with Republicans all the time in the Senate.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, this is why this is why I said this. What's even the? You wonder why voter turnout is so crap in West Virginia. This is why.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's pretty much crap everywhere throughout the whole country.
No, it is. But West Virginia is like the perfect freaking capstone for why voters end up becoming apathetic to their own situation, because the people in charge don't give a fuck. They've already got such a monopoly on the political levers in that state. Well, what's the fucking point? People start getting the impression, what's the fucking point? Which obviously isn't the right answer, but I mean, this is what ends up happening.
Yeah, I'm just it just baffles. I don't understand.
What I guess I'm most nervous about is if Joe Manchin gets replaced by somebody who's even more terrifying than him, and that's like the only thing that's just got me a little bit nervous about that situation. But at the same time, it's also Joe Manchin, so fuck him.
There's this documentary that Broken Carpenter, he used to come on with us all the time. Would always recommend about Joe Manchin, called Blood on the Mountain. I don't know if you guys have seen that or not. I have it on my watch list. I still haven't seen it, but apparently it goes through like corruption in West Virginia, and there's obviously talk of Joe Manchin in it.
You can't. Oh man, you can't talk about corruption in West Virginia without mentioning Joe Manchin, though.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, Ryan, the whole story that you gave us about, the whole situation breakdown in Australia, I mean, it's going on everywhere, man. Here, just you name it.
Oklahoma's bad right now. Like, we had, it seems that fucking Tom Coburn, it says a lot when you can get an Austrian economist style conservative to think that you're completely full of shit and that you're ruining things for the state. Because Tom Coburn managed to get his petition shoved through with the help of our state's attorney general. And what this petition does is it basically calls for what's the phrase when they an audit? So essentially, they're wanting to do an audit of the state. And the reason they're doing this is to blocked the teacher pay raise. So basically, there's this weird rule in Oklahoma that if your state is under audit, no pay raises can be effectively made, no new taxes can be effectively collected. And because all the taxes that were meant to get these pay raises are based on new taxes, well, you can already see where this is going.
Yeah. It's fucked.
This is why my state can't have nice things.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Yeah. So, and then in a state, in my state, the current government is spending a monstrous amount of money on upgrading infrastructure, which has created thousands and thousands of jobs. And what they did is the previous conservative government signed a contract saying that they're going to build a tunnel from one side of the city to the other, and it was going to cost $6 to $8 billion. And then they got voted out, and the new government said, "Well, we're going to scrap that. We're going to take the hundreds of millions of dollars in penalties, but we're going to reinvest that money into other projects like schools and upgrading the rail infrastructure and all that type of stuff." So, yeah, we're up for a new election this year. So it's going to be interesting to see if the current government can keep their spot. Right. So keep in power. So, but yeah, other than that, it's pretty much Australia in a nutshell. So, yeah, happy days.
Happy days, huh?
Yeah.
What's going on everywhere, brother? So you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Hello, Jay.
Hey, Jay.
Not this asshole.
My brother.
How you going, brother?
My brothers of the butt. How are y'all?
Doing good.
Doing well, man.
I'm thankful for Jay not being here earlier. Is that finished?
I heard that, Ryan, earlier. Fucking Celtics fan.
Yeah, man. Fuck yeah.
I had a reason for coming in, of all things, though. I had a question for Snork. Yeah, you. Exactly, man.
Well, when in doubt, when you're depressed and have nothing better to do with your life, you can always sit down, have a nice cold sip of some wine, and try and sink a Yamato in World of Warships.
Indeed. Your favorite libation. Yes.
Well, I mean, it was either doing this or play Scumbag Artillery and World of Tanks.
So anyway, whenever you guys let me speak, I was just going to ask Snork a question.
No.
About water quality.
No.
Yep.
I'm not going to let you speak.
Aren't you the host, Ryan?
No.
Aren't you supposed to be the host with the mostest?
Nope. I'm just not going to let you speak.
There's actually currently there's actually 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay,
5,
go.
6 hosts.
Oh my God! They let A-List be the host. Oh my God!
You're giving me way too much responsibility. Please stop.
You're a teacher, dude.
Now, see, Eric being a host, that makes sense to me. He's a very
If only Eric was here.
I'm here. I'm
Eric's
listening.
here.
I was just doing, I'm multitasking, getting some stuff done and everything.
He's playing some Legend of Zelda.
No, I'm actually not playing some Zelda right now.
Well, this is awkward. I'm not actually the host, am I?
Co-host. You're a co-host.
One of the co-hosts.
We're almost all co-hosts.
Yeah.
They've had to be co-hosts before. My power went out and everybody was locked out.
Oh boy.
So he never goes with just one co-host anymore.
Yeah, that's a good policy.
Somehow I forgot that incident.
It's like everybody's a wrench in one of the Zoomers chats.
Mm-hmm.
So
hey, and also this makes us like, you know, learn how to do this stuff as well.
Yeah, which is great.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Jay. You want to ask a question?
I
man?
can only,
Yeah, I am, but you know, I want to make sure I'm welcome, Ryan.
Yeah, you're welcome, brother.
Friggin' Celtics fans, man. What can you say? They let the Cavaliers buy him. Again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even following the finals. Is anybody?
Mm-hmm.
No, really, man. Very, very casual Knicks fan.
3-0.
So.
Next week, the World Cup starts. So I'm going to be tuning in as much as I can to that. I'm a soccer fan. So, but Mark, last week, the city of Salem, Oregon, had a algae bloom in their watershed. It's called Detroit Lakes.
Yeah, did they say what color?
Yeah, I think it was red. Red algae.
It was red?
Yeah, red algae bloom.
Okay.
Which is bad news, right?
Red is bad news.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering if it's coincidence or not, because we're way upstream. We're actually thinking that no, we're upstream. No, we're downstream. Because it dumps into the Columbia. It's the Willamette River that both of the cities share. And we're downstream. It dumps into the Columbia, which rolls out, obviously, Lewis and Clark into the Pacific. That aside, I thought it was just interesting because in the mail today, and like I say, I'm not in Salem, Oregon. I'm in Portland, Oregon. But the water quality report came out for Portland today.
oh,
And yeah, and they send it out every year. We don't share the same watershed or anything that Salem does. We have the Bull Run watershed, which is part of Mount Hood. But I wanted to ask you, Snork, in this report, is there anything that I really should look for, numbers-wise, or anything that would tip me off that maybe some of these guys are trying to pull the wool over my eyes?
Go to the section that says alpha emitters and read that to me.
Okay, because I haven't got the report yet. I was trying to precondition myself, and then I'll read the report and then get back to you.
Zip right to the section that says alpha emitters when you get it. Then you're going to look for hexavalent chromium.
Okay.
This isn't for everybody.
That's the big negative, huh?
I'm just taking guesses for what's in your area. So you might also be listed on there. I don't know, because I think requirements might only be to limit or report alpha emitters. You might have gamma emitters or beta emitters as well.
Okay.
And those are serious no matter what the levels are, even if it says trace.
So alpha, gamma, or
beta.
Beta, okay.
And alpha is the only one I think they're required to put on there. But
Okay.
where are you from the nuclear waste facility?
Downstream again, and that would be the Columbia River, because that is the northern border between Oregon and the state of Washington. Hanford, you're talking about Hanford. Twin. Why am I thinking twin? The Tri-Cities, Pasco, Kennewick, and Richland, Washington. The Hanford Reservation is in that triangle.
Yeah.
So they're probably 90 to maybe 105 miles east of here.
Yeah, I would be really interested to know when it's released. Let me know. See if you can send me the link.
Okay.
I'd like to know if it has uranium hexafluoride. That would be U, a little 6, and then a big F.
U6F. Okay, that's the periodic table.
Yeah, uranium hexafluoride.
Okay, so it's uranium hexa.
Hexes are bad, whether it spells or anything else. Just think hexes are bad.
Yeah, hexes are bad, right? But it's uranium that we're talking about here, and obviously, back in there was a guy here once upon a time. I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of Norman Solomon. There's an organization in Washington, D.C. He had something to do with years ago called Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting.
Ooh. Yeah, I know that organization.
Yeah, that's Norman Solomon. He used to be a big activist here in Portland many years ago when I first moved here. And so one of his friends, a filmographer named Mark Albanese, and myself, and met Mark, and then in the bigger circle of activists and whatnot at the time, man, I was like young buck. I think I was 23, all of 23 years old. And but Mark Albanese and I went and did video shooting and whatnot at Hanford many years ago, back when the nukes thing was the big deal. Back when there was a guy who was big in the movement then. His name was Dr. John Goffman. And if you guys have ever heard of Helen Caldicott, she's an Australian, Dr. Helen Caldicott. She was big as well. So I'm very familiar with Hanford and Downwinders and all that stuff over the years. In fact, Broken Carpenter, who was probably 45 miles north of the Hanford Reservation, he's always monitoring the hell out of that place. And him and I, both being soccer fans, we keep in touch over Hanford. Yeah. I'll get that information, get back to you on that, Snork. Thank you for the information.
I've already got it.
You got it?
Yeah, I got it. Good news. There is no detectable amount of feces in your water. In the city water, tap water.
I'm pretty much thinking I usually use the toilet, man.
No, that's pretty good. I mean, that's a lot. Most towns in the United States do not have a 0 on the feces.
And see, when our water, from what I understand, some of it is treated, but coming out of the Bull Run watershed, it's pristine, and it's pretty much not treated. It's just coming out as is, coming out of the ground. So some of the other cities up and down the river aren't that lucky. And that's the problem, like I say, in Salem last week. Their alternative was to take it out of the Willamette River, and the Willamette River is not very clean.
Here's what they're doing. They're taking it from the Bull Run water. They're adding chlorine to it.
Okay.
Then they it's 2 to 2.5 parts per million of chlorine. That's not bad, because the byproducts of the chlorine are bad in the water too. After you're just as at risk from what they use to clean it. Then they add ammonium hydroxide, and they add chloramines to residually keep it clean, or at least dead.
So they are treating it.
They are treating it. They're adding sodium hydroxide. That brings the pH up.
And sodium hydroxide, and then
Sodium hydroxide.
Yeah.
When the water gets to that point, before that, has the same pH as Coke.
Oh.
And they raise the pH up to 8.2 to keep it from corroding people with copper and lead pipes.
Oh, so they make it alkaline.
Yeah, a little bit. Does the water feel slimy? When you take a shower, does it seem like it takes forever to rinse off?
No. I understand what you mean. Not at all. Not at all. I know I've been in places. I was somewhere recently. I don't remember where it was now. I think in Ohio. And I felt slimy after I got out of the shower. But not here.
Snark, I tell you, if I was a millionaire, I would love to take a group of people like you who are experts in water and take you to places like Flint and pay you guys while you work and fix these pipes yourselves that the government won't do anything about.
We plan on doing that.
We were talking about that a few nights ago. Nork was giving us a rundown on that, Christian. It was really interesting. He's got a lot of ideas along those lines. I'm saying, yeah, I would definitely, if you've got a Patreon or something like that, Snork.
It'll be coming up.
Okay, bro. Because I'll be contributing to it.
Hang on, because I got to get this water project going before I start that. But there is this musician in Sweden. He goes by Wintergarten. It's the Swedish word for winter garden.
Okay.
WINTERGATN. There's no R in the end of it. And he has this wonderful style. He's building this musical instrument. And it's taking like 2 years to build. And he's going to take it on tour. And every week on Wednesdays, he gives another episode of what he's doing to build it. And he's showing everything that he's doing.
Oh, nice.
Followed through. He did like 2 years of YouTubes on what he did researching musical self-playing instruments from like the 1500s and way back in time. All the music boxes and everything. And he's made like this super music box for playing rock concerts.
And his name is
Wintergarten, but would be Wintergarten to us. But
right.
Our WINTERGATN.
GATN. Oh, that's really different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's not playing a lute, or he's not making a lute or something that easy. He's making this other like a pipe organ, or what's he making?
You see when you see it.
Okay.
Because the new one's called MMX. This is his 10th one. His first one was a hit song in Europe.
Yeah, but they don't know music in Europe.
Yeah. I don't know how well it did here because, I'm not a youngster.
I can ask my Swedish friends how big he is in Sweden.
Yeah, and France. He moved to France. He moved to France.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm looking at his videos right now. He has like 100,000 hits on some of these or more. There's one that's 77 million. Wow.
Yeah, he's a non-engineer, but his engineering is perfect. His organization is exceptional. He should be used as a a class should be watching him build this instrument.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Nice. I'll check him out. Definitely want to check
Yeah.
that out.
Wintergarten.
Yeah.
Yes, it's Wintergatan.
Oh, there we go. That sounds more like Gatton to me with an A in there.
Yeah, but they're kind of like the British on how they handle the AT sound.
Pronunciation, right. I was talking to a gal tonight. I'm leaving tomorrow to go up to Seattle for that funeral. And I was talking to a gal tonight. I was out at the bus stop, and she claimed she was from England. She kept talking about Loverly, and she sort of talked like Ringo Starr. But we had a nice conversation. She finally told me when we got on the train, because we were both waiting for the Max train, the transit, and she tells me, I kind of like you. You have a good aura. And it made me feel good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, it's good talking to people, man. It's good being social.
Agreed. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But Eric, he's just being antisocial, so.
Oh, I'm not antisocial.
That's typical Eric, though.
I
not antisocial.
Not at all, man. No,
I did put a link over there in the Zoom chat on.
I was working on stuff.
There it is.
A couple of the people that I have talked about for West Virginia.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Did this report. We've been in discussion. And the one guy is responsible for water as a threat to the United States Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
Water is a threat to the. Did I hear that right? United States.
He's the guy that's in charge of analyzing the threat of risk of loss of water for the United States Air Force.
Okay. There we go. That makes more sense.
But
awesome.
like, I don't go out too much though. But I guess I have some kind of antisocial in me though.
Well,
I think we all do, right? I mean, we're all basement dwellers, right?
Yeah, I'm a basement dweller here.
I'm a dark apartment dweller.
Yeah, although my father doesn't live here anymore. I'm in my father's basement.
Oh, Snork, that don't sound good, man. For your age, being in your father's basement still, never moved out.
Oh, well, I did move out.
My God, dude. I'm just handing you the line.
Yeah, I moved back to take care of him, but it's too far gone. There's so many health issues across the country that people don't realize, and so few resources people have to address them. I don't know what.
We got Flint, we got Chicago, we got East. I guess it's actually what it's the Chicago.
East Chicago.
Well,
Indiana.
Chicago and Indiana.
With the first one though, we're going to be doing more than just water.
Right. The first one for you then being West Virginia.
Yeah, the West Virginia one. You see, they don't have any jobs. Yeah. So after we do the water, we plan on introducing gardening as serious gardening, not pot. Yeah. There are plants that are more valuable than pot. Mm-hmm. And a lot more valuable and legal. Nothing to worry about with the different banks refusing to do business with you. Mm-hmm. But there are some very important foods that are going to become very scarce in the next 5 to 10 years. And the best place to grow them is where there used to be coal mines.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
So the
And why is that? Is the soil just prepped in the way from the
No,
rest of the
no.
coal?
We're going for where the latitude is, but they've flattened the area. Unlike all other types of farming, we don't need soil. Mm-hmm. So we don't care about the quality. We don't care what's in the soil. We seal it and it's gone. There'll be no difference from farming the way we farm and farming on Mars.
So Stork, you're saying that you're like an advocate of like earth mover farming, the bigger, the better, blow the top off the freaking mountain, let's farm it?
No, I'm saying no more flat farming. We are going to be looking for farming on the sides of mountains.
Hanging
because
fruit.
When they did these mines, they didn't leave them completely flat.
Right, right.
Some of them they did. We can adapt to that. We can adapt to anything. We don't need to run tractors.
That's amazing, man. Wow.
So we want to be teaching these technologies. So first we're going to teach them how to make water. If they don't, if we can't get a large force of people that understand water purification, we're not going to be able to farm, not just West Virginia. We're not going to be able to farm in 15 years in Iowa if we don't have people that understand water purification and what's contaminated in it. We're not going to be able to farm in Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, Minnesota, South Dakota, maybe even Illinois and Indiana.
So I'm down at my plot today, digging out. I'm going to put in a few more tomato plants. And I'm just taking the water for granted because it's there in the hose. When I need it, I use it. And what you're telling me, Snork, is I better be paying a little bit more closer attention to that water quality report than I'm giving it credit for.
Yeah, but let's not get overly
crazy about it.
Grim. Yeah,
grim.
For the most part, your water was pretty good. When I looked at it and I saw that you didn't have any feces in your water, you guys giggled. But I'm like, wow.
No, but that's why I'm asking you, Snork, for your opinion on it. You know,
usually they hide it in the reports. You're using words that most people don't understand means shit.
Right.
Organic debris.
Yeah.
Organic debris.
I'm serious. I see water reports from all over the country, and all of them come up with, how can we say that water's full of shit without saying the water's full of shit? It's got to be honest. This is lying on these reports is a federal offense.
It is, yeah.
So what can I say? Oh, realize. Oh yeah. Oh, every glass of water you drink and every pot of water you cook with is going to have 7 rat turds. What? Oh no, it's not rat. It's human. Oh, we can't say that. So, organic debris.
Euphemisms never change.
Yep. Kissinger speak.
Soil sourced, uncategorized materials.
Uncategorized materials. Like, ooh, that sounds very friendly. That sounds inviting.
So yeah, believe it or not,
questioning.
There is humor in science, and I'm sure that Eolas will be teaching that. And
I don't know, like my mentor teacher's idea of humor in science was just telling a bunch of dad jokes with science themes in it.
Well, I'm thinking too, though, Stork, I think you're onto something there. The holistic aspect of cleaning the water up. And it seems to me the most important ingredient the most common ingredient in fruits, vegetables, garden items is water. So if you start from a position of having bad water, you're screwed to begin with, no matter how pretty the fruit or the vegetable is.
Now, you had red algae in your water.
The bloom, down in Salem, right?
So It actually means your water people are doing a pretty good job if they got that crap out of your water. Because where does red algae come from?
It's fresh water, so it's.
Does fresh water have anything in it that supports the growth of algae?
Well, people are swimming in that reservoir, so I'm thinking, is it?
It's not just a few people peeing in it.
Is it fecal related?
It's massively fecal related. If you have a massive bloom, think about it. If it's 95%, no, 93% of it is water, correct? What's the other percent? Now, if it's 50 million gallons, 100 million gallons, how big was this bloom? It could be big. Gallons, 9,000 gallons is only 8 feet by 4 feet by 30 feet, somewhere around that.
Right.
And so you can imagine a big river with big bloom. How much is there? Algae needs food. What does algae eat?
Organic debris.
Organic debris. That's right. So that river was incredibly full of shit before that.
Yeah.
Literal shit.
Yes. So your guys clean that out. You should go down and shake their hand. This water guy I know says you guys did a fantastic job.
Well, I'll do that then, Snork. I'm serious. I'll do that. I will look these guys up and say, there's a guy in Iowa and wanted me to let you know that he thinks zero. What was it? What's the phrase?
Organic debris.
Organic debris. He thinks zero organic debris is a very good sign that you're doing a very good job.
In drinking water from your tap, yes.
Right.
Now, the radium is harder to take out.
The hexavalent chromium, you're right.
Well, radium is not the same as hexavalent chromium. Hexavalent chromium is a nasty industrial byproduct.
Right.
But most towns are not equipped to remove uranium, radium, or the transuranics from water because they don't understand the importance of taking it out. So they say, we've been drinking this tap water for years. And why should we change? Well, people have been dying from cancers for years. And think of it like a loser lottery or Russian roulette.
Yeah.
Where each exposure, each atom is one lottery ticket. And most of it does cause some cancer in the body. Your body's able to kill some cancer. Your body has some minor means of taking care of it. It's just when it gets overwhelmed, it can't handle it. Like if you get a sunburn, your skin turns red, ejects it off, especially Ryan. That is your skin saying there's a good chance that exposure, the sun's radiation, UV, is going to cause cancer, and it ejects the top row cells.
Yep.
So we have some mechanism to handle some exposures, but you want to limit as much as possible.
That's an area in health class that I think, at least back in the day, they didn't do a very good job, of saying, you shed a layer of skin, in such and such a period of time. And so many of us, it's just soap scum, or it's this, that, or the other thing. And, we scrub it away when we scrub out our toilet, or we scrub out our sinks, or scrub out our bathtub, and never really think twice about it. But the process of the human body and what it does through all these miraculous processes, I wish it was explained better. People had more of an appreciation of it. And we don't. I don't think we do.
Alistair, you have to do your thesis in 7 days. I'm surprised you're adding anything to it at this point. Oh, well, you know, that's life. It gets busy sometimes.
Yeah.
I remember my wife did her thesis. We were up almost every day of the last week, just hammered through little changes.
Mm.
And she wanted graphics. She wanted really nice graphics, so she wanted them off my computer. So, yeah.
I missed that part of the discussion. What's your PhD of interest? What's your area of interest there, Alistair?
You're muted.
Yeah, he was saying he can't speak because his girlfriend's asleep. He doesn't want to wake her.
Oh, okay.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Did you catch what his area of expertise was, Snork?
No, I didn't.
He's
If he took water, I would say he's probably wildlife biology.
I'm thinking he's a zebra man. Yeah.
He just typed, I'm getting an MBA from SUNY Albany, focused on sustainability in the capital region.
Yeah. By any chance, did you have Professor Contento? Anthony Contento? He taught where you're going to school. He just resigned a few months ago, and he's the author of that report I sent.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So it was a Harvard report, is that right, Snork?
Yeah, Harvard report.
Did you guys see where they just gave Hillary?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I saw that today. Jay.
Which means that Harvard must have just gotten a very large
grant
donation
from the Clinton Foundation.
I still say she's trying to clean up her reputation to run again. If not her, Chelsea.
Oh God.
Yeah, they've been prepping.
You're saying, "Oh God," when I say Chelsea. I said the same thing when my uncle told me that in 1996, in August 1996, my uncle told me that W was going to win, and I thought that he was crazy.
In 96, man, he had just got what? He was still like just a baseball owner in 96.
No, he wasn't.
Was he past that? Was he already governor?
He's already governor.
Yeah,
he's already governor.
And he was working in Saudi Arabia, or not working. He was visiting Saudi Arabia.
I had the erroneous thought, and I'm not sure about this, but I think he owned the Texas Rangers in the early 90s. I thought it was like 93 or so, but
I can't remember when he had it.
Yeah,
but I remember him.
It might have been even earlier. Must have been earlier because
running it into the ground.
Right, running it into the ground, and then running the state of Texas into the ground. Right. Crazy.
Hey, I tried, man. I tried.
I'll be back.
Christian, I love it. I miss your impressions, man.
Well, guys, I gotta get going, man. I gotta get to sleep soon.
All right. Good night, Christian. We love you. Take care. Have a good one.
Take care, man. Good to
enjoy the rest of the night.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna be really quiet now. Because Ryan's sleeping too. Well, I guess now's a good time to leave, I guess.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something along the lines of this is a perfect time to invest in some free real estate.
Where would that be, man? The free real estate. Is there such a thing?
I assume it's in Bill Clinton's penthouse. Or one.
Yeah, that guy. I've been seeing those advertisements for his collaboration with James Patterson on that book, and
Bill Clinton.
Sham.
yeah, Bill Clinton and James Patterson, I think was the guy's name. I got him mixed up with somebody else. I've been reading some right wing stuff lately, and all of a sudden it's like Bill Clinton's a novelist, and I'm thinking, no.
No, it's just gonna be a guy. You know what? I'm just gonna say it. I don't care. It's just nothing more. Like probably the Bill Clinton book is probably just another gossiping, like a gossip book.
Yeah, this is a novel though, so it's a little bit different. This guy Patterson, I think he writes spy novels, and I haven't. He's pretty prolific. I got a good reaction out of Alice.
Oh my gosh.
James Patterson.
It's
Yeah.
like literally some discount Sam Fisher. This is like some discount Tom Clancy shit.
It is. That's exactly what it is, man. And yeah,
and it won't even come with a half decent video game series out of it. Fuck.
Op Center. Yeah, Op Center. Right. Oh my God. No, I don't know. Anything that's got Clinton's name on it, any of them, you know. And the fact that Chelsea's going to run, well, you know.
That is what it is, though. Like,
yeah.
I don't like these Dynasty, though. I don't like the Dynasty.
That's what it is, Eric. That's exactly what it is.
It's Dynasty.
Dynasty is what it is. For most of us, it's Dynasty, right? If they had their way, we'd all die nasty.
It's just, you know, it's become nothing more than, you know, dynasty politics, basically. It's like the TV show Dynasty. It's like rich people acting naughty and corrupted.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something along the lines of, well, I'm not going to make another Duck Dynasty references. Those things have gone.
No. I'm not making a Duck Dynasty reference at all.
I was about to, though. And then I stopped myself. It's like, no, we've got to have some standards.
I've only seen bits and pieces of Duck Dynasty. But aren't those the guys that have the decent beards? Don't they have really good beards?
No,
Oh, God.
No, they don't. Not those are awful beards. But it's no, they are legit. No, they are objectively awful beards.
Okay.
But they're iconic, like I said, because everyone recognizes them for their awful beards. So none of them ever fucking shave.
So I was thinking, though, you know, an awful beard is just, you know, patchy, you know. But if I'm thinking of the right dudes, it's like they're definitely not ZZ Top quality beards, but they're kind of on that scale, aren't they?
No,
they're just bad beards, period.
Yes, just bad.
Just bad beards.
Just okay. Stop trying to justify awful facial hair fashion.
I got to justify my own because I have been, you know, working most of my adult life. I never had a beard. You know, I always shaved regularly. And then with my change of life 5 years ago, it was like, I don't have to shave anymore. You know, I can just, you know, get patchy, you know, and every once in a while I'll let it go for a couple of weeks and it looks really, really ratty. And I'll use the excuse that I don't have the money to shave regularly or I don't have the money to get a regular haircut, you know, that kind of thing. And that kind of excuse gets old and tired, you know. because you can always make room for little things, you know, cutting your own hair, trimming your own beard. I mean, it's no
That's
big.
what I do.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I don't have the testosterone anymore to grow like Letterman. Man, that guy, he put that beard on so fast. I mean, that is a quality beard. But has anybody seen his new interview show?
I have not.
He's interviewed some interesting. Letterman has interviewed some interesting folks, and it's just him and whoever he's interviewing sitting on this stage, and he's pretty. I don't know. He's pretty. His politics are pretty progressive, pretty left wing, I think, and most of his interviews are pretty good. I mean, they're a little bit Hollywoodish, if you could say that. But
he likes Obama, man.
Well, yeah, there is that, Ryan.
Obama just lectures. There's no point of listening to Obama anymore. He's not even president.
There is that.
Yeah, because he's just going to sit there and lecture, and I don't want to hear it, so that's why I'm not going to listen to him.
No, I don't listen to most of any of that anymore, except if it comes up and I can get it, you know, like conceptualized to figure out, you know, where they're at. Like Jimmy Dore covered that latest Michelle Obama.
Oh, God. She just fucking... The same thing with the Obamas. They just want to lecture. That's all they want to do. That's all they want to do nowadays. They just want to sit there and lecture off their moralistic high grounds. And I'm just sick of it. That's why I tune them out. That's why I encourage people to tune them out. They're irrelevant. All they just want to do is lecture. They just want to lecture their moralistic high grounds of irrelevance. That's all they want to do.
I don't even realize... I don't even realize. I seriously realize, let me rephrase that these folks, I don't even think they're quite aware of the fact that they're punching down, you know?
Doubling down.
Pummeling down is more like it, yeah. Because
pummeling, dumbing down.
Yeah.
Propaganda and lecturing. That's all they want to do.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, it's like, yeah, you don't have to listen to Obama. He's just going to sit there and lecture. I mean, pretty much he pretty much exposed himself because, like, you know, with the corruption and the bullshit. And that's why it's like there's no point of actually listening to him nowadays because, you know, he's the former president and he's just going to sit there and lecture like every single other president. They're just going to keep lecturing and lecturing and lecturing and think that they have like this moralistic high ground, but they really don't. And you know what? I don't find that. I actually would rather listen to people that are actually talking about real stuff, not lecturing propaganda. That's why I don't want to listen to Obama or Michelle Obama or any of the Obamas. I just don't care for them. I mean, on the other hand, the Obama brother, like he doesn't lecture. He doesn't even lecture because he I'm trying to remember who. Like his brother, I think his own brother didn't even vote for him or something.
Wow.
I think, like, I'm not like 100% sure though, but like I know he didn't vote for Clinton though, and that's like, you know, that shouldn't that signal like anyone, like, you know, that shouldn't that be like a sign or something?
It is, and the sign is, of course, you know. Not too many of them, of course, can hold a candle to Jimmy Carter. But Jimmy Carter goes out, he builds houses for people.
Yeah, and that's something that's actually good.
Yes, he's still out there, you know, actually banging a hammer, you know, pounding a nail, actually doing it, you know, keeping himself alive kind of thing. And yet we have these other latest and greatest presidents who'd rather post stuff, you know, and lecture us.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of setting the example, right?
They're not setting an example. They're just lecturing like how they could be they lecture, it's like the brainwash lecture. They want to set an example, but they know that they're full of shit and they're not really doing real shit. They're just lecturing propaganda. That's the way I actually do see Obama, since he basically legalized propaganda.
I think, as smart as they are, they both Michelle and Barack Barry graduated law school, so they got critical thinking skills. They got brains. They know better. They know that they're pulling the wool over folks' eyes, so to speak, propagandizing the way they are, and yet they're satisfied doing it. I guess they made that pact with the devil, and now they live with it.
Yeah, and the reaction for me is I don't have to buy their bullshit.
Yeah. I did see, though, and this goes back to Ryan correcting me a wee bit, as I should be corrected, on Letterman. But John Oliver was spouting off on his show, I guess, the other night. I saw a tweet today about it. Empire Files, I guess, got really frustrated because I guess John Oliver went off on what's been going on with the Venezuela election. Yeah.
I don't know. John Oliver gets me in a weird spot because there are a lot of segments of his that I really do enjoy, but then there are these moments like Venezuela that I'm just like, yeah, I can kind of see a perspective where that would make sense, but do you realize who you have to rely on to back your argument?
Right. Yeah.
I'm not saying that it is a lie. I'm just saying that in this case, I don't know whether or not your source is the most credible one to be trusted on this kind of an argument.
Well, do you know who his source was, Alis?
I know that. Well, I think he was relying on New York Times and some Washington Post reports.
So he's relying on the CIA. Come on, John.
Yeah, he's lecturing for propagandists.
Again, Eric, dead on, yeah.
Yeah, because but
it's not like that is weird. Like that's the thing. Like there are times when I really do like John's work, but then there are other times when he does stuff like this, and I just don't have the patience to try and sit through whether or not he's being earnest or whether he's not.
Does the guy live in such a bubble that he does not even go to comedy clubs, listen to other comedians? I mean, does he even know that there's a guy out there, Lee Camp, or
well, no, because
or any of these guys that might
actually keep it real?
Jimmy maybe. Well, Jimmy maybe because Jimmy does have some clout within the comedy community, so that I could imagine. But Lee can't.
Right. But I'm back to making the connection. I'm just back to putting a little bug in my head too, because I'm back to thinking I'm going to believe sources like Empire Files and how they do their fact checking, Abby Martin and whatnot. This guy, her partner that helps her do the Empire Files, he was the one that did this video that I just haven't had a chance to check it out yet. But, for guys like John Oliver, who's supposed to be hip and edgy, relying on the CIA.
I don't know if I called
that's not hip and
John Oliver edgy.
No,
he ain't edgy. He's like he's like establishment.
He's yuppie maybe, but not really edgy.
Well, but don't you think at least at one time, the standard or the gold standard for,
I go over the edge.
I'm putting up my Nixon air quotes here. Quality television was HBO. So we have the two.
Remember, this is also
We have the two comedians on HBO. Two guys that we're sitting here trashing the hell out of right now. We're not trashing the hell out of Bill Maher right now directly, but in the past we have.
Maher.
But here is, these two comedians.
He lectures for the establishment as well.
No doubt.
Like, I don't like lecturing comedians like nowadays. All they just want to do is lecture and be, quote unquote politically correct, but want to be actual, actually have like the not like the political correctness as like, you can't say certain words, but as a political correctness of being politically correct on the facts, though. But that's my different variation of political correctness. Like, it's like, it has to be establishmentally politically correct, or else you're not good, or it's like, oh, you say this offensive like truth thing that exposes, our propaganda. We're going to get triggered and, silence you because you offended us. That's the way I actually do see it.
The problem is that now, I don't know. Like, there isn't, like, I'm not always 100% lock in line with Abby on 100% everything she does.
Right.
Or does. Like, I do have a personal sense of skepticism towards Venezuela, particularly in its self-economy is still privatized. Yeah, really showing the power of the workers there, son.
Yeah, but a lot of that is just still vested.
But like
power structure in that country, the fact that most of the Venezuela, most of their money comes from oil, and you'd have to look at the history of oil in Venezuela to see, it's pretty much oligarchs, with their spidery web of extension, into, Venezuela, and the fact that Venezuela, the country, the government effectively is socialist, that's what we don't like about them. The USA. I'm speaking for the government. I'm not. Yeah, I'm speaking for the government. I'm not speaking for myself.
It's like with me, I like people from other countries. It's just I don't like their fucking government.
I kind of like Iceland's government, but then Iceland's got a government for maybe 10 million people. So,
but surely they're doing something right.
Yeah, I mean, look how over the years we have just trashed Cuba. But you look at the quality of healthcare in Cuba, much better than the United States.
Yep.
So you can pick and choose just about anything across the board, to fit, but I don't know. That's why I'm interested. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was done. I was back to thinking about cherry picking facts, that kind of thing, people that want a certain scenario before the facts, and they just, I guess the greatest example of that was Cheney back, during the Second Iraq War, picking and choosing his facts to feed the propaganda machine at that time.
Fucking Cheney.
Which was the New York Times. Yeah.
It's just a shame. Like I still do find, segments of John Oliver that I do genuinely enjoy, like the Rudy Giuliani one, which I think he pretty much summed up in the best way possible, why nobody should have possibly been surprised that Giuliani was nuts. But
I just don't watch him enough now. To keep up with it.
Then there's that other stuff times when he's doing stuff like the Venezuela story that, well, I'm not necessarily saying that that he is purposely engaging in propaganda, I think that's a bit of a stretch. I just don't share that perspective.
Right.
I simply don't share that perspective with him.
But
I can kind of see where it comes from, but
I think we would both agree, though, right, that the major propaganda media arms, tentacles that are out there, you know, the first one obviously would be now the Washington Post, but, you know, running a close second is the New York Times. And, you know, if you're relying on their perspective and their columnists and their middle of the road status quo, you know, we're going to support the system because it supports us mentality, not want
They're preaching
to open ideas, you know, to get into that mix to potentially upset the apple cart. I mean,
yeah, it's good that they should be offended anyway. I mean, like, I mean, that's the democracy dies in darkness. Like, they're a bunch of propagandists. I just don't. I actually take them with a grain of salt.
You know,
because I don't trust them.
To the point where they changed the laws, though, Eric. You know, they get these NDAAs. They get the executive branch in this case. They change Smith Month, you know, so that they can actually now legally propagandize, whereas they couldn't do that before to the people of the United States. They could only effectively propagandize outside the United States. Now they can actually propagandize us, you know, and the whole idea of fake news, dumbing down, you know, I mean,
dumbing down and doubling down on bullshit propaganda that people will fall for. It's like with me, the DNC emails. Once I've seen that shit, I was furious, and I still am. That's why I'm in this fight against the corporate media. That's what I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm fighting. That's what I'm really fighting for. I'm also fighting for the freedom of Julian Assange. I'm fighting for the freedom of actual real fucking press, not this like propaganda tabloid bullshit that just spews nonsense and distraction and gets nothing fucking done. They just want to do is write about them, like complaining about like, oh, we're gonna complain about this tweet that Trump made. We're doing real work. No, you're just doing fucking tabloid work. It's like Hollywood fucking news. That's what it's reduced itself down to. And that's why, you know, I'm against this crap.
God damn. I was a serious large number of accuracy off talking about Iceland's population. Snork looked it up. I don't know if you guys see the
yes.
I said 10 million, man. Is that accurate?
338,747 plus Lars.
Yeah. God, Snork, man, was I ever over on that one?
Yeah, most of their population is in Reykjavik.
Right.
So it is really sparse.
338,747. I mean, in greater Portland, Oregon, we have a lot of suburb Portland, but Portland, Oregon is well over 1 million people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at that number going, Iceland can pretty much do whatever they friggin' want to. I mean, they actually have a number there that actually would promote good government. Makes it a lot less complicated.
Yeah, they have less than a third of the population of Montana.
Right. Of course, is Montana population wise? I thought you were like Wyoming. Who's the most? Who's the most sparse state?
I was just looking that up.
Yeah.
Wyoming is huge, and it's only 579,000.
Right. So it would be like Iceland would be the governor of Wyoming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. Well, Bjork, maybe I can discount you now.
Oh.
Yeah. And yet, Puerto Rico isn't a state.
Right.
Because reasons.
Puerto Rico isn't the state because we're too busy extracting what? Compliance?
Free real estate. Well, free real estate for bankers.
What's Puerto Rico before the last hurricane? What's their biggest export? Puerto Rico. What are they providing us?
It used to be sugar cane and rum. I don't know what it is now.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico has a larger population than Iowa.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, it's an insult that we haven't given them the offer to be a state or to be cut loose.
I think of those those other islands and those other nation states down in the Caribbean, at least like Commonwealth. That's even a better connection to, let's say, the UK than what is Puerto Rico, a protectorate? I think they're a protectorate.
Territory.
Territory, yeah.
We also have the U.S. Virgin Islands near there. I say put them together, make them a state.
Right.
Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. Make it the longest named state we have.
Do the same thing
out in the Pacific. Take the territories, and I would glom them onto Hawaii.
Well, I had also had somebody today try to tell me that Midway is Hawaii, and I know that's not right.
No, I think Midway's the Marshall Islands.
I think that's Marshall Islands, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But I was going to say Marshall Islands. I mean, that's or Guam or any of these places, Saipan, any of those. Because of our troops and our projected control of the Pacific over there.
A large
states as well, don't you think? Yeah,
a large portion of the population are U.S. veterans.
Right.
And I think that they deserve a vote. Let them be a state or let them be a country.
Do you see any problem with felons, ex-cons getting out of prison and then voting again?
I see. We give them a sentence. When their sentence is done, they shouldn't be any different. Otherwise, they should have had a life sentence.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's
unless being about the ability to vote is a lifelong sentence. If that's the case, it's a mismatch. I don't see how you could stair step.
Yeah. You're pretty much telling or sending the signal that we just expect you to be a recidivist. Once you're in, you're not going to be able to remake yourself. You're not going to be able to become a normal citizen again.
We have a rotating door. We're getting people in there for just a few months, but they're a felon out there off the voting rolls.
Which,
I would say that would be Mississippi.
Right. And I would think maybe parts of Louisiana. And
California, where you have the state's attorney say we can't do away with the federal prison or the prison population because we would lose too much free labor.
Yeah, they're stamping out license plates. Yeah.
I think they do a lot more than license plates. At least
Well,
here
they're
they do.
doing a lot more than license plates now. I was just thinking back to Cool Hand Luke days.
Here they make furniture.
Right.
All of the city furniture, all of the state furniture. It's all.
I was thinking of something recently. I don't remember where it was, but they make apparel. You know, they make jeans, jean jackets, jeans, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I could see it.
Yep.
It's pretty rampant, and no accountability to the public.
And they're paid just a little bit, but if you've got like this corrupt state mechanism that thrives and has their corporate cronies, you know, take advantage of that labor force, you talk about entrenchment and their status quo. They obviously don't want to change a good thing.
Well, they're being paid minimum wage,
right? Or less
than
that.
No, they're being paid minimum wage, but they take stuff back. Room and board. They get charged, so it ends up being like 50 cents a day or something.
Right. That's the number that was sticking in my head, and I was thinking they're charging them for a cell, and all that's in that cell is a bunk
and a roommate.
And a roommate on top of that, right? So they got to share the toilet, and the toilet don't even have walls. Yeah, I mean, there's no privacy in those places. Yeah, I don't know, Snork. But it's being talked about, but man, there is so much that has to be done there to correct so much of that. I don't know.
Well, I think I'm waiting to see results of how many people moved to the United States from Puerto Rico after the hurricanes.
God, you would think by now that they would want to go anywhere else but here. You know,
yeah, but
hasn't the migration to the United States from Mexico pretty much dried up?
I don't know, but I do know that all over the world, if you need to go somewhere, it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Unless you're wealthy and white.
Anyway, I'm actually gonna head on out. I'm gonna do. Have to work on my project, like my gaming project. So.
All right.
Good job, Eric. Thanks.
Yeah. I should have something. It's good to see everyone. Love you all. Take care. I should have something out by next week. It's 90% done, but it's just a bunch of computer work.
I need to see some games to play.
All right. Good night, everyone. Love you all. Take care.
Take care, Eric.
See ya.
See ya. It's good to see everyone. Take care. And thank you again, everyone. Greatly appreciate it.
So, Snork, did you take a look at what happened in California at all?
You mean vote-wise?
Yeah, the election Tuesday.
I did notice that one green had a small portion of the vote, but enough to knock out the Republican. So it's a green and a Democrat on the ballot. And I'm wondering if this is a foretelling that pretty soon we'll have the major parties saying, okay, the jungle doesn't work.
Right.
You know, how long can they put up with one of the major parties being knocked out in the election? Because I think that was the whole purpose of the jungle anyway, was to guarantee one slot for the Democrat, one for the Republican, and nobody else considered.
Right. Again, that status quo thing. Maintain that status quo thing. Maintain felons are felons. We don't want a lot of people voting. We don't want voter turnout. We want apathy. You know, apathy breeds the same old white folks, the same old octogenarians in Congress. No new ideas, no gumption, no energy.
Yeah. So many people are viewed as being worthless only for their first 25 years of their life, and they die quickly after that.
Well, you know, I notice those, you know, kinds of things, you know, little things, you know, people, their attitudes, their behaviors, you know, it all adds up. The only thing that I really noticed, and I haven't dug into it yet, I spent today constructively in my garden as opposed to with my nose stuck in a computer screen. But I did notice yesterday, Ron Placone, who's like the showrunner for Jimmy Dore, he was complaining about the elections there in California because he's there in, obviously he's there in Pasadena, I think, with Jimmy Dore. But he was complaining about voting machine fraud.
I bet.
That they had some ballots disappear.
Well, not even voting machines. They had 110,000 people they turned away. That they mysteriously just lost their registrations.
Well, that specific, and then that they're still voting on antiquated voting machines. In a state like California, I mean, with the money that they have, you would think that they would want, and of course, that goes against my thinking right now, goes against everything that I've actually even seen pretty much in the last year with all the shenanigans around progressives being kept from the primaries and being part of it or any of that. California is the bellwether for most things that go on in this country, and they can't get it right in California. We rely on them for, like, you know, mileage standards, EPA, you know, quality, air quality. I mean, if their elections are messed up and their election turnout is as bad as it was, it doesn't bode well. Doesn't bode well. But I'll dig a little further. Maybe I'll have a better report the next time I check in.
Yeah.
You can always hope.
Yeah. Let's see. I have a meeting tomorrow afternoon where I'm going to be discussing the election here in Iowa tomorrow, so I suppose I should read up a little bit on it. I volunteered my kids to go to a why they didn't vote for Hillary meeting.
Have you prepped them, or do they even need prepping? They don't even need prepping.
No, we'll just let them give their own honest responses.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, candidate that won in my district I thought was acceptable. I was disappointed at who we got for governor. But it's not the end of the world. You know, it's not a Trump-like person.
Right.
I was disappointed that the neighboring one, the person that was expected to win, the D'Alessandro, miraculously lost. If there was any kind of vote rigging, I would expect it to be there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At least in Oregon, you know, we have ours is pretty much, we've got a fairly decent vote by mail process. It's pretty much backstopped with
I can't think of
paper trail kind of thing.
the vote by mail though. Has got to be horribly easy to hack.
I don't really think so.
All they have to do is look at your name. Do we want to open this envelope?
Well, if you wanted to think about it that way, or you can think about it in terms of, at least like for me, what I've noticed now, and I haven't dug into it, and I'm not seeing a lot of inklings about it. You know, I don't. There's more than just one newspaper. I mean, the paper of record here in Oregon, they're real conservative. But there isn't a lot of bubbling up around the edges. You know, if there was something that was bubbling up in the other alternative press, or, you know, the other smaller cities in Oregon press, you know, then I might be worried about it. But I don't hear a lot about it. They do make you sign the envelope, so they know that the individual, at least from a certain criteria, you know, has participated in the election because they bothered to sign the envelope. They do make you do that. The fact that it's so regimented that they kind of do know how you vote, that bothers me a little bit. But our voter participation, you know, wasn't very good like the rest of the country.
Yeah, our participation was bad.
Yeah. But we got. Hello?
Although when you consider who our leaders are, can you honestly blame us?
Yeah, there's a lot to that for sure. I was pleased that we had a slumlord. I talked about this a few weeks ago because we voted back in May. State of Oregon voted back in May, and our state senator is now gone. He got voted out, so that's a good thing in District 24 here. So we're good. We're good to go there. Still a lot more to do. Hell, and I'm talking. There's a lot more to do, and this is a blue state. I must be pretty freaking radical. I don't know.
Yeah. The California, I took a look just to see if I recognized any names that won. Saw that Pelosi won and Feinstein won, both with big numbers, and just really made me lose respect for Californians.
Right, because the two guys that were running against both of them really were progressive candidates that really worked hard to unseat them. It really shows you how entrenched this stuff is. You had that San Francisco lawyer that running against Pelosi. He should have been able to unseat her if indeed California is as progressive as they make themselves out to be. And then it was the other guy running against, like you say, Feinstein. I hadn't looked at the numbers. I really need to. You know, and that was the thing that's frustrating going back. You really have to know alternative media in so many of these places, because my first hit off this stuff was like from USA Today. Only candidates they were talking about were the status quo candidates. So the only big upset, at least from what I saw, was this guy Gavin Newsom, who was running for governor and he's in now, I guess, as the Democrat. And the only reason that I know him is because he's been on Bill Marsh. But he's not progressive. You know, he's run-of-the-mill Democrat. I don't know, Snork. It's going to take some time. Just got to keep plugging away.
Yeah. Something to leave for the kids to do.
Well, I don't know. There's some baby boomer bashing going on, man.
Well, there should be.
Don't you think?
Yeah, there should be.
Yeah,
So.
I agree.
My generation thanks you for your generosity.
What's that, Alice?
My generation thanks you for your generosity.
I think you should probably be really pissed at us, Alice, for not doing more. Yeah, we left you guys with a can of worms, man.
Yeah, and I just find it deeply ironic whenever they try and blame this on me. It's just sort of like, motherfuckers, you guys burned up the planet, you took all the resources, and told us to go to college, they put us in debt, and now you want to tell us it's our fault?
Yeah. But every number that I seem to see, I saw another number today. The millennial generation being pro-union.
Yeah.
That's
a nice thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll learn from their predecessors and don't just try and build one with a hierarchy that's just meant to backslap itself. And actually, do stuff for workers.
Well, I'm getting tired. I think I better head to bed.
Oh, you are?
I got to get up early too, so. Okay, guys.
I don't necessarily have to head out early, but that's pretty late.
All right.
I need to go to bed.
Thanks for letting me participate. Have a good night, guys.
All right. Good night. Jesus Christ, Ebon, why do you have 3 fucking accounts on here? Alright. That's everyone. Ben, you still there?
Yeah. I'm all fresh. You guys sound pretty, I don't know what, lethargic.
Yeah.
I missed all the, what was going on earlier. I have no idea what you guys are all talking about. What's up?
I'm not entirely sure what we were talking about. We definitely said something. I'm pretty sure they were important. And I'm not.
I'm on my phone because I got my mouse USB cable and nacho cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm afraid I'm just gonna get rid of the mouse, jettison the mouse, and cut my losses. I already have like one USB port that doesn't work on my computer. I don't want to break my computer or anything. Cheese, pudding cheese. Anyway, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, that's good.
All right, at least I can.
Right on. What's new?
Not a whole lot. There isn't a whole lot going on right now, other than I guess Bernie had an appearance on Bill Maher. After he made a giant ass of himself, Joy Reid is in even more trouble for saying shit things.
Yeah. Have you found any media that you like these days, or? I mean, I know you're like going to school. Have you been reading anything? You found anything good out there that you enjoy? Like YouTube channels?
I try to skim from the intercepts when I can. Sometimes Al Jazeera's Plus network has some interesting content, although I don't know. I do like Newsbroke, but I haven't been completely whole on board with them going on the Russian narrative.
What was the last one?
Huh?
What was the last reference?
Newsbroke. It's a comedy series that sort of appeared around the same time Alicia Neal was producing her No Bullshit series. It's on Al Jazeera Plus.
Okay.
It's pretty good. Like they've got some
good comedy in my life.
Like they've got some good skits, and they do tend to take the right positions on, or at least what I feel are the right positions on what happened during the primary. But you know, there's also
my prediction really is though that like last time around, at least for alternatives for liberals, the only candidate really got 1%. And you know, just to keep it fresh, you know, this time around, I mean, things will be different probably be a much larger sliver or piece of the pie or whatever the chunk of the electorate that's going to go to the alternative to the Democrats. And I think that that's going to be used as like a propaganda point for a decade later to just say, you know, beat people back and, you know, like beat the sheep back into the party and be like, you know, hey, you know, remember that time in 2020 when Jesse Ventura got 10% and caused us to have 4 more years of Trump, and then anything that could possibly happen would be all because of those people who voted Ventura's fault. I mean, it kind of happened with Ralph Nader and Bush, and it's kind of like a cheesy, like, but yet I guess somewhat hard to defeat kind of like fallback argument that you can find people using. And, you know, going back, so it's like I don't know. It's kind of that's what I think is going to happen. I can't prove it, but that's how I think it's going to go down. So it's like I can't even be jilted and disenchanted about this block until 2020. I'm thinking even after 2020, we're still screwed. I think a lot of people think that too. But you know, I'm just kind of looking at that, realizing that's how I think it's going to go down. But you never can tell. You never really do know about those elections, I guess. At least we definitely were surprised in 2016, or a lot of people were. Only speak for myself. But
yeah. I totally get
all
that. Huh?
You do never know. It is all up in the air, and I don't know. Like the Democrats though being a big part of the problem, it's important that, like, I guess some media or some comedy somewhere takes, I guess, whatever you were calling the right stance on it. It's hard though because of that thing I was trying to point out. Like when it comes down to 2020, people are going to be like, "Oh, well, you have to vote this, or you're going to be voting for Trump." Anybody that doesn't vote for the Democrats, you have to. And everybody, you might even see like Tim Black or TY, you know, everybody, single person from Jimmy Dore telling you, "Hey, you got to vote Democrat. Make sure you vote Democrat. Let's stop Trump now." And that'll be the thing. And everybody loves nothing more than to be popular and to do what everybody else was doing. And to jump along, you know, look at me, I'm in the parade, and go with the flow and go downstream with it, not go against the grain, you know. And that's what everybody loves to do. My friend tried to send me a thing about, isn't the Reagan Red days or something like that. I was like, what?
Oh, yeah, I saw that on, like, on Being Liberal. And I just was like, no, that's the problem. You were literally being part of the problem.
What's up?
Like, I saw, like, a post like that on Being Liberal, and I just was like, no, that's the wrong answer. That's completely the wrong answer. You were being part of the problem there, son. You can't justify. I don't know if you you're aware of this, there used to be a long time ago, I think it's still around, there's a Facebook group called Being Liberal. It was like this huge liberal congregation on Facebook way back when. But it's kind of tends to be filled with like every person that you could imagine on the political spectrum. So you do get your sort of like Bernie Sanders-esque social democrats, but you also get a bunch of people who are like the Hillary Clinton faction.
Yeah.
And so, and you know, they're obviously hashtag resistance for life, not ironically being just about as effective as the actual Star Wars resistance that I think it unintentionally took its name from.
Okay, I'm not sure. I guess I'd have to watch it to really get a feel for it.
Yeah, but they had
I
a
respect everybody's. I respect every point of view. I want to hear from people of every point of view. I mean, honestly, I'm not. I really do respect people's points of views. I think that like at the end of the day, it's pretty hard to escape saying, okay, let's take the better option rather than like let's just take the lesser of the two evil. It is really hard to escape wanting to do that. It is really hard to get around basically being pragmatic and being practical, and it's just kind of instinctual. You want to be like, okay, well, this is fair. I'll settle for this, But I think that's
I can see where you're going with that.
Like I'm saying that's how I guess I totally I feel like I can understand a Clinton supporter who's like, okay, yeah, he's better than Trump, or she's a lot better than Trump. Okay, yeah, I agree. I guess I agree. But at the same time, like, policies aren't everything. What about the character issues? What about the issues with how they ran their campaign and stuff? So, like, I mean, it's like even if you want to say policy wise she's worse, then there's still issues. So like I would hope that person be able to like understand back, like, okay, fine. See, like I think that I'd hope that reasonableness would be reciprocated, I guess. But whenever you do get into like an election moment, everything gets chaotic and there's just like so much noise, and it's just really hard to say anything to anybody, and it's really hard to get real information. It's just outrageous that we're supposed to believe that all this stuff is fake news out there. Anything but like large scale news is fake news, and it's like there's really something dirty about that and conniving and messed up that they're trying to pull to try to make people to like sort of incept this idea about fake news, this paradigm.
Yeah, that's
the idea that the Fox News isn't fake news is outrageous. Like Fox News has been perpetuating fake news for 20 years. Rush Limbaugh, that's commentary.
Yeah, there is legitimate fake news out there. Let's not pretend like that doesn't exist. But what's now becoming just as much of an issue is the fact that we now are seeing that evolve on our side of the fence as well. And
yeah, exactly.
That's not acceptable.
And they're failing to hold themselves. They're failing to be accountable for it at all or acknowledge it at all. So it's like they can do no wrong. They can do no wrong. So that's what I'm saying. Like whenever they're accounting for their loss in 2020, it's not going to be their fault. And the Republicans, don't care what they say about them. So who are they going to come after? Anybody who voted for whoever that third party option is. So it's kind of like, how do you is there any possible way around that? I guess the only way around that would be ranked choice voting.
Yeah, it's a mess.
I mean, what are the cons for ranked choice voting? Like, is there some kind of like thing about it? Like, when you're trying to make like a chess move or something, and you're like, but I think there's something about this. Is there actually something about that? Like, I have no idea what it is. Like, what's wrong with it? what's wrong with it is that it would work. That it would actually work. That it would actually give a third party, like, instead of being scared, whether it's scared from the former scare of Nader in 2000 or the upcoming scare of whatever it is, like scare story, like a children's story. You say, don't go out at night because of Rumpelstiltskin or something. I don't know what. But so ranked choice voting is because it's so damn effective to that end. Like, I don't know. I'm just saying. Like, I don't see what's wrong. I don't see what the actual thing that's wrong with it is. Why it wouldn't be implemented. And do you know where? I guess it's a quick Google search, but I have heard though it's been implemented in some places. So it is. They have. I don't know. I guess we would find out. If there was something wrong with it there. Get an example of like, it doesn't work because of blah blah blah. This case. I mean, what if it would make the voter turnout 10% more? That's what I'm saying. It's like good for everybody. It's definitely good for anybody on the liberal side of the spectrum. But I think the liberals side of the political spectrum and the Liberal Party are different things, right? Like the party is like a mechanism more close to like all the lobbying, all the other crap that's similar to both parties. But like, political spectrum, like that's kind of goes like, it's kind of like people are like, oh, I don't like that country's government, but the people are cool.
I do agree to an extent. Although I think I've become a lot more jaded with liberals, mostly because of my experiences with them online as I sort of made my transition from being a liberal to socialist, and then later to an anarchist. So I just
socialism is pretty cool.
Huh?
I like socialism. The anarchy, I've already told you, I'm not with you on that one.
Yeah, well, it's a work in progress.
I mean, isn't there other things that anarchy is similar to, like philosophically or like you could say anarchy is similar to like, well, I guess to libertarian. Libertarian is like similar to like anarchy or anarchism or whatever it is, in some slight way, or a little bit of a way.
Not really, because the funny thing is that the libertarians basically got their name by co-opting the original term for anarchism, which was libertarian socialism. They basically booted the socialism out of the name, took libertarian, and this is how you get anarcho-capitalism, in a very crude manner of speaking.
I'm trying to think, there's got to be some kind of, is it like, is it like Ayn Rand policy? Like there's something that like anarchy, like that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, surely you don't mean literal anarchy. Like you mean like a philosophical, like theoretical anarchy. Like you support that, like in terms of like that's what's correct.
Yeah.
I mean, Diogenes the cynic walked around in the streets and was like, like was ascetic and scorned possessions and like said all philosophy was ridiculous, and that was his philosophy. So his philosophy, all philosophy was ridiculous and a waste of time. So and I think if you can't really take everybody's things literally, that that they say. Sometimes you call for something, but you're just kind of metaphorically saying that, like
Right. No. So here's what anarchy means to me personally. So my anarchism for me is about possessing a skepticism towards hierarchical structures of social recognition. This includes class. This includes state power. This includes to a certain degree of gender analyses in politics, as well as race politics. My general emphasis is simple. If I'm not against any and all forms of hierarchy, if a hierarchy can sufficiently justify itself, then I don't have a problem with it. And to quote a very famous anarchist by the name of Mikhail Bakunin, on the matter of boots, I appeal to the authority of the boot maker. What comes as the problem, so when I try and discuss anarchy, I don't like talking about it as like a fixed point where we just overthrow the government, and everything's fancy. No, anarchy, in my view, is a process. It's a process of developing a skeptical outlook towards authority and determining the merits and values of those structures. If they can sufficiently defend themselves for the time being, then no harm, no foul. But if they can't sufficiently justify themselves, then the anarchist argument, in my opinion, is just that those should be dismantled and replaced with a more horizontal form of organization. That is, in essence, where.
Wait, it should be replaced with what? What was that?
Huh?
It should be replaced with what?
Horizontal. They should be replaced with a more horizontal societal structure.
I think the tricky part about that is define working. Prove that. When you go into that you need to go into the point about that it proves that it is. I forgot how you phrased it.
If you
viable or I don't want to put words in your mouth. You didn't say viable. I know. So.
No. So I'm saying.
Legit.
It's prove. Yeah, prove your legitimacy. Prove that this is like suppose with the state, for example. What are the primary functions of a state? Hey, well, they exist to predominate. Ideally, there are various different interpretations of what a state should and shouldn't be. But let's go with, say, social contract theory, since that's the one that's most applicable in American society. Social contract theory essentially states that the state exists in order to enact the will of the people. So as long as it is existing within concordance with the will of the people, then the state has the right to represent them in any and all affairs dealing with other states. However, should it fail to meet that burden of proof, that society should be dismantled and replaced with a new form of governance.
Enter gerrymandering.
Huh?
It just gets tricky. It's like enter gerrymandering,
Right.
When you get into like the will of the people, it just gets like pre-1921 or 23 when women couldn't vote. It's
right. So
you're having to say, well, okay, the voting system we're using is good enough, and so then but how do you arrive at that? What point is it good enough? Like the news people will say, no, it's not bad at all. No, and it'll just get worse and worse. No. And they'll just be like, no, it's totally fine. No, you're crazy. No, it's everything's fine. No, it's getting worse and worse. And then where it's not a good democracy and only 50% of people vote.
Well, that's kind of the challenge. It's even within anarchist circles, we do have different ways of analyzing what could be better and more ideal solutions. I know Noam Chomsky is the supporter of the lesser two evils argument. I personally am not, for the reasons I think many of us have stated in here. But I understand where he's coming from, because at least for left-wing anarchists, our primary focus is ensuring the safety of the working class first, before we attempt to do anything nuts like, say, trying to overthrow the government to create a worker society, a workers-based society. That's, there are steps that you have to take before you can get there. And if you're going to go down that route, then one of the most important things you need to do is build up solidarity. And you can't do that if you uproot everybody's lives without their permission. So I mean, there's a little bit of that.
What do you mean uproot everybody's lives without their permission?
Hmm?
What do you mean you can't do that if you uproot their lives without their permission?
I mean, this is me speaking about it as from an ethical and strategic standpoint. Like, okay, so suppose you and your friends are going out for dinner, and you're trying to choose between 3 or 4 different restaurants, and then all of a sudden, one of your friends decides, hey, screw to burn all your money and say screw going out to the restaurants. Let's just try and cook our own food instead. Which which is okay, but it may end up being healthier for you. But that's not the reason why you were convened there in the first place. So to me, I try to first, my general approach to anarchism is sort of try not to disturb people's lives before it becomes necessary to do so. Because let's say because it's one thing if you're trying to hold an intervention because this friend is constantly eating from fast food every day, and you're just trying to help them get on a healthier path. That's one thing. But if you're just trying to uproot everybody's lives when everybody else is doesn't see the obvious problem, then that's not really going to. One, you may be successful, you may not be. But will you have their support for any future endeavors going forward? No, you won't. So that is
what is this uproot people's lives, like throw away your money?
Well, I mean, think about it this way: if tomorrow, say, there was a the sort of workers' revolt that was seen during the October Revolution and Soviet Russia during the early 20th century, what kind of changes do you expect that's going to have on people's lives? Suddenly, all their bosses, when suddenly all their bosses are dead, and all the structure and organizations that they had put hours upon hours into working into, with the hope that maybe if they work just hard enough, they'll be able to find themselves somewhere on that totem pole. And now everything that they've worked for is just suddenly disappeared. There's obviously going to be people at the bottom who are going to be very happy that they're finally going to be able to get an equal standing. There's going to be a lot of people that are stuck on various different levels in the middle who now have everything that they've worked for. That they've worked for, or at least perceive that they've worked for, just completely up in the air. You're not going to, in this case, what do you do to calm down that instability? Because this isn't necessary. Because unless you have them on board with this as well, there's a very likely chance that they are going to revolt to reset things back to the way they were. In which case, you can see how this would be very counterproductive to any kind of revolutionary scenario. Or at least I hope so.
It's okay. What I was thinking was when you're saying that stuff is that Bucky Fuller said that we're like part of nature, and when we stop having integrity, we're going to stop being useful to nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It's not really clear exactly what he meant by that necessarily, because it's kind of vague and poetic and stuff. But I think though that whenever you said that a government one of your first kind of arguments and premises was like if a government is legitimate and and things like, and I said that's really hard to define. And I think it's complicated and nuanced and contradictory where it comes to hard to reconcile the differences, is differentiate distinctions between the things when it comes to what was it now? I guess keeping everybody alive, providing, which so if it's legitimate for on that basis, on those grounds, like okay, it's legitimate because they're doing that, keeping a lot of people alive, it's sustaining this population of all these people, 6 billion, 7.12 billion now, all these people. So like, but then from the highest to the high to the lowest to the low, we do things like use plastic bags, use non-biodegradable plastic bags like Kohl's and Target and Kmart and every which corporation and mega rich entity throws plastic bags at you. You use them, you put them in your trash. It's your trash can. So it's like we're doing these things systemically, though, at the same time, while we make it by and everything's pretty handy and convenient. Oh, look at these bags that are just right there. And bags are just one of 1,000 issues, but I don't know. I think about it probably too much or a lot. But the thing is that like it's just they're doing a good job, but it's not sustainable. Like it's like legitimate and it's providing and it's like taking care of shit, but they're not even pretending. They can't even pretend that it's sustainable. And it's like, so we we know it's not sustainable. So why are we not moving towards sustainability? Because that's hard. Because that's harder. It's because like so what? Good. It's harder, but it's better. It's like just like whenever we legalize marijuana, then we don't have to prosecute people for marijuana, and it's better. It's harder. You got to do work, and lawyers and people and police officers got to do harder work to get the cases through and to do their thing. But it's better. It's better that way. Okay. And so let's just do it. Let's just why. So I don't think it's like just the rich people's fault or the poor people's fault. And it's a mundane, like redundant cliche point because everybody knows that. It kind of like there's like the individual, and we talked about it. Everybody's talking about that. Gardenome talks about really thinks it's the individual's situation more. There's like a girl from Act Out. She talked about the same exact topic about and she kind of took it the other way and said no, it's a system. It's the system's fault. And kind of like. She like did a point about brief point about how it's your fault, like your responsibility, but then she's like no, like but look at the system that blah 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 blah. She's pretty cool. The Occupy.com Act Out gal. Anyway, so but yeah, it's like it's so they're doing a good job, but then there's like legitimate, but then not legitimate. I see how there's like kind of contradiction to it. I see how like you could argue it both ways. So ideally, just all I can say though for sure is like ideally, it would be like. A government would be like providing, like you were saying, like the worker's job and everything, and whatnot, and bread and butter and ends meet, and comfort and like stability. But I'm saying like it's also about sustainability. That's what worries me is that like the garbage island doubled. The coral reefs shrank in half. Like. I mean, if it was over a couple of generations that these things occurred, but it's been over like half decade. Or no, it's over a year. Over the year about the reefs. So it's like it shouldn't be a Democrat or Republican issue. Like a lot of things shouldn't be a Democrat or Republican issue. Like clean water. Like is clean water. So that would fall into your like list of like things that are you know, what makes a government legitimate, right? Like if it can give you clean water, if it can make that happen with all the fancy science out there. Mic check. Hello, hello. One night I had just sat down to my books when suddenly I heard a sound far away towards the southwest. Listening intently, I wondered what it could be. On it came at first like the sighing of a gentle zephyr, gradually deepening into the plash of waves upon a surf-beat shore, the roaring of huge breakers in the startled night, amid howling storm gusts of wind and rain. It burst upon the hanging bell and sent every one of its pendants tinkling into tune. It seemed like the muffled march of soldiers hurriedly advancing, bit in mouth, to the attack when no shouted orders rend the air, but only ramp of men and horses meet the ear. Boy, said I, what noise is that? Go forth and see. Sir, replied the boy on his return, the moon and stars are brightly shining. The silver river spans the sky. No sound of man is heard without. 'Tis but the whispering of the trees. Alas, I cried, autumn is upon us, and it is thus, O boy, that autumn comes. Autumn the cruel and the cold, autumn the season of rack and mist, autumn the season of cloudless skies, autumn the season of piercing blast, autumn the season of desolation and blight. Chill is the sound that heralds its approach, and then it leaps upon us with a shout. All the rich luxuriousness of green is changed, all the proud foliage of the forest swept down to earth, withered beneath the icy breath of the destroyer. For autumn is nature's chief executioner, and its symbol is darkness. It has the temper of steel, and its symbol is a sharp sword. It is the avenging angel riding upon an atmosphere of death. As spring is the epoch of growth, so autumn is the epoch of maturity, and sad is the hour when maturity is past, for that which passes its prime must die. Still, what is this to plants and trees which fade away in their due season? But stay, there is man. Man, the divinest of all things. 100 cares wreck his heart. Countless anxieties trace the wrinkles on his brow until his inmost self is bowed beneath the burden of life. And swifter still he hurries to decay when vainly stirring to attain the unattainable, striving to attain the unattainable, or grieving over his ignorance of that which cannot be known, never be known. Then comes the whitening hair, and why not? Has man an adamantine frame that he should outlast the trees of the field? Yet after all, who is it save himself that steals his strength away? Tell me, O boy, what right has man to accuse his autumn blast? My boy made no answer, he was fast asleep. No sound reached me save that of the cricket chirping its response to my dirge. It's by Ouyang Show.
By the way, I think Aeolus fell asleep.
Again?
Because he lays in his bed while he listens and talks, and then I think he just dozes off.
I came in the middle of that. I was like, I didn't know.
It's an old Chinese little essay thing from about 1,000 years ago. Ouyang Xiu, I think he lived in like 1,000 something, 1,000. He hung out around West Lake a lot. I know that. Like, but yeah.
So what brings you back, Dave?
Okay, so I realized that I hadn't talked about this, and I want, I could share the document. I just found it. since last Saturday, some people have gotten in touch with me and said, "Hey, look, you need to start making local town hall meetings and zone board of appeal meetings, and just see exactly what all of this is about." So I made my first zone board of appeal meeting in, I would say, 10, 15 years. I think that the last one was about a house on our neighborhood where they had one house on a lot and they were trying to put two on there, and everybody was all up in arms. And then before, my wife and I were buying a house, and we went just to make sure everything was being done right. But I went to the zone board of appeals meeting, and the town of Babylon, where I live, they have some really hardcore zoning rules. And to be honest with you, I have the documents, to show how expensive it is. To me, it's just a money scam, and it's a way for the town to generate extra revenue. And I'm sure Fly is familiar with that kind of stuff, with California zoning rules and things of that nature. But what I noticed, I was only there for 20 minutes or so. There were two people that I saw applying for variances. One was a business owner who had everything in order because he had been there so many times before. And at the end, they granted his variance. It was to build a pool. And they said, "Nice to see you again, Tom," or whatever it was. And then a family, father-son family, came up. And if you're not a business owner and you don't have money to pay for advisors or whatever, it's going to be really tough, at least in the beginning, to know what paperwork you're supposed to bring in. So they were getting a hard time. What I thought was funny was the two people, it was a business owner who was trying to actually build a pool that was not there prior. They gave him no problem. And then there was the family, all they were trying to do is be able to open up a cellar in their house, which was previously closed. And because they didn't have the proper paperwork, they were just shut down. So, I mean, if anybody's interested, I could show the paperwork to show how expensive it is to file for stuff. I mean, we go anywhere from like $100 to $2,000, and that's for a telecommunications license. So, I don't know. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, go for it. Share it on the screen.
All right. Hold on one second. Oh, what am I doing? So, so I won't go through all the. Here to me, this is the most important stuff. So we're talking about an application filing fee for different variances. So you go anywhere from,
Are you able to share it on the screen?
Oh, I thought I did. Sorry. Oh, I didn't hit share screen button. Duh. So here is the list. Requirements of all application. First, you have to pay a filing fee. So for a proposed variance on residential, that's $125. Maintain $300. Business $500, et cetera, going all the way to telecommunications. And then you have to fill out these forms. And then you have to fill out another form, which is construction plan. You have elevational drawings, 3 sets of them. Then you have surveys. Then you have the Suffolk County tax map. And then you just go all the way down. And then this is the one, I'm like, really? You go through all this, and if you don't have the proper envelope and it's not unsealed, they're going to give you a hard time. I mean, I go through all this crap. You have to submit 4 photographs, a front, rear, and both left and right side. and just all of this stuff. So I don't know if anybody's had to apply for a variance in other towns before. I just feel that this is a bit excessive.
Well, you are in a town called Babylon, so
I would imagine in California it might even be worse.
Maybe. It probably depends on the town, neighborhood. I mean, a lot of the towns are probably there just to get a piece of whatever money.
Right. This is just to collect money and to, in my opinion, just to keep people from frivolous variances and changing things. Just, the big thing is applying for an apartment license. Like if you have a double ranch, there's a ton of double ranches where we are. You're really supposed to have a permit to allow a family and to rent out. And a lot of times, if you have a scumbag neighbor that doesn't like you, they will, they'll rat you out, and you'll have to go through all this extra crazy nonsense, and you have to get fines. You'll get fined for having, and I don't know if it's called illegal residence or something. It's basically a code violation. So, all you're trying to do is, get a little extra money, and so it's just a way to pressure people to have them give more money to the town. And what I think is interesting, I don't know what that 5-Star Aviation has had to go through so far, but that business, when they're trying to apply for all the paperwork there, it seems as though that Brookhaven Town Council is trying to just ram this through without the proper paperwork. That's part of what the town of Brookhaven is all up in arms about, and they're trying to halt all all construction until everything is settled and figured out. And my thing is, if you're going to do it to the little guy, you sure as hell should do it to everybody else.
Well, the wealthy people, they don't really care. They can get it done. $2,000 for whatever it costs. Like,
right. But if you don't even file the paperwork, and you don't even go through the motions.
it's about interest though. Well, I mean, like some regulations, might be for the better. They might have good intentions. They might have good actual practical, usefulness and work out well in some way. To for you can't live in a basement or something because of fire or mold or I don't know what. Really, I don't know. I really literally don't know. But it's just that I'm just saying that some regulations might have some sense behind them. They could be too expensive, that's for sure. The fine being more than the regulation, that makes sense to me. But I think that it comes down to interest. If you want to do it, you'll pay for it. It's ultimately they might make it too expensive. I don't think that's right. I think that they shouldn't tax the little guy, especially you're just looking at zoning things. I think zoning wise, there should be things for special, really small, food trucks and things like that, grocers, little stands. The smallest of the small, whatever it is, little laundromat or car wash. Those people should get a lot closer to tax free. Not Amazon, and not Walmart, and not all these not billionaires and stock market people who have other millions of dollars offshore or something like. I don't even know. But the thing is that if the people with the highest interest, the bigger interest that you are right now in this day and age, the way the lobbying system is just growing and growing and growing, it's like, okay, you're going to have your stuff represented. You're going to have your stuff taken care of. You're going to have your interests, your complaints, your grievances, your issues. All of that's going to be smoothed over for you because you have access, because you're going to pay to have access, because you have enough money to be on that level. But everybody else, there's major groups, maybe they'll band together, but there's all kinds of niche stuff though. And if they're smaller and it's just they can't get together, or they just it's just kind of almost not worth it or something, or blah, 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 or it's kind of just tedious, and it's just such a niche minority, super minority of the population that has an issue with it, you know, those people are the ones that they have a tough time and everything.
Well, there are certain things that make perfect sense when it comes to zoning. You don't want structures too close to the road. You don't want situations that create hazards for kids. You don't want fire hazards. You know, there are certain dimensions of things that can't be too close to one another and stuff like that. There are safety reasons for it, and if it isn't going to adversely affect anyone, generally the town board will approve it, but you have to jump through so many hoops just to get it done. The problem arises when you try to sell the house and things aren't up to code, or then if you've never got them before. I mean, my thing is, if when we bought the house, we made absolutely sure we went to the zoning board of appeals and made sure so that if we ever had to sell the house, we wouldn't have to go through that. So, but I just wanted to come on real quick and just show that, because I went to my first zone board of appeals meeting in 10 years. I think that there should be a way for people to easily access. I had to search for the documents to show what it is. The Babylon town site, this should be prominent on their site so that people can see this and see the resources that they need. I had to search for this thing. So I may even call them up and say, hey, is there a way to put a hyperlink on this so that it'll be easier for the town board. They won't have to continually tell people, well, you need this and you need that. And it's going to save people a lot of time and save paperwork. And to me, it'll save, it'll save the time or save the town in paper costs at the very least. I mean, God, you have enough damn paperwork you have to go through with all the pictures and forms and crap. If you have to resubmit, that's another pain in the ass. And that's more time and more paperwork and more trees dying.
So what's going on? Is there some kind of big news in your town?
It
should be.
The the reason I wanted to go to the town of Babylon is I wanted to make sure that there wasn't any big news, and the big news is that there isn't, thank God. But in the town of Brookhaven, which is farther east, there are a lot of land deals that are going on that people are protesting. There is a company, and I've mentioned it the past couple of days, 5 Star Aviation. They bought 2 parcels of land. One was from the Brookhaven campus of Dowling, which went under back 2 years ago in 2016. They purchased that for $14 million. And now they purchased land in Calverton. It's called the EPCAL land. I'm not sure why. I don't know what that stands for yet. But they're looking to clear 1,600 acres of pine barren land. So that's 1,600 acres of trees. 1,600 acres of trees to put down housing. It's not necessary. We have plenty of cleared land.
Yeah. And you can make the cities more compact by, I don't know, or in different ways by reusing places or rethinking things.
Yeah.
It takes 30 acres of land trees to purify just like one car's exhaust per year. So like average car annual exhaust per year. So we need the trees.
To piggyback that point, I don't think
it also helps with sound. It also helps like sound. It helps for people Sorry.
I don't think these guys care because they're also looking to put, an oil plant, a coal plant, natural gas, filtration systems, And apparently nearby a casino, a water park, and like an amusement park. So like, it's just this industrial park thing. I don't know exactly. I know that the Pine Barrens are going to put
go build it in Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine. Well, this same company owns Mall of America.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they have Mall of America and the Meadowlands deal in Jersey. They're in the middle of that, which is a freaking nightmare for what I heard. And Christian probably knows more about it. So, that's going to be a fight. And the problem is, in these town board meetings, you don't have that many people show up. You have maybe 20, 25 people show up. And that's when a big deal, that's when it's a big deal. So you have to fill up these town halls, in my humble opinion, for people to even take notice at all. So hopefully this isn't going to happen. It may. I have a feeling it's going to be a legal fight for a while. Hopefully, I'm hoping that they're not just going to ram it through.
There's also been studies that say that, like, if you live next to roads, your odds are you're going to be like 5 to 10% more likely to be obese. And if you live around any kind of air pollution, it's bad for your bone health. It will contribute to bone disease.
And take a look at West Virginia, and take a look at the people we know in West Virginia that have issues with their bone health. So now, and people joke about people with no teeth. Well, that might be part of the problem. Is the pollution with with the bones. So
right. And I mean, like, and the science is there, and like if you train the right people, you can employ people. Like if you had Snork on the case, training people, a team a week,
right.
to go out and I think like that's what's the beauty of their project they're trying to get going is like that. If you do bring clean water to 1, 2, 3 towns, even if it's real slow, if it's like project 1, project 2, project 3, eventually people are going to start hearing about it. What is this now? And it's real. And then they meet somebody who's got clean water, and then like eventually it hits the news, and then eventually the Kickstarter and the GoFundMe has like this curve, like just what I mean, like how do you call that, bell curve? I don't know what it is, curve that just like shoots up, and then like eventually like hopefully they would have all the money that they needed, because if you could like give money to a charity and you're like, oh, my money is going to go real far, $100 is going to make 2 homes have clean water or something like that, at some point where you're getting it bulk the way you'd want the parts and to install it. I mean, that would be really inspirational. You'd be like, oh yeah, I can help people like that, like that's awesome. And that'd be like really inspiring, dude. And
well,
at some point they can take off.
My fear,
he's so confident.
My fear with any technology, any benevolent technology, any green technology, is that eventually, or any good cause, it's going to be co-opted by corporations and perverted in some way. That's you just have to be careful. You have to be careful with who you're working with. In my humble opinion,
I want to like. I think it's more. I mean, never mind. It's too abstract. I'll stay away from that. Sorry. Not even gonna go dive into that water right now.
Don't dive into that water until Snork looks at it.
That's definitely true. But I mean, the idea about getting people clean water, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if somebody makes profit somewhere, I mean, so be it. I mean, that's just the way things work in the world, and like it just depends on how much. It really like I've tried to say so many times, like Martin Scully, we've all agreed, okay, that's wrong. So like that's good. Let's start there. Let's keep going. Maybe we can even find other people that qualify, like in terms of like what I mean, doing something kind of ethical.
My issue with the term clean water is, how do you define clean water? Is it, is it no lead whatsoever? Is it, pure water? Is it, is it that ceiling of, well, we can have so many parts per this chemical and this element and this and this and this and this.
I get water from the grocery store, and it's called Glacier, and it's like this big machine, and it's $2 for 5 gallons or 40 cents a gallon, and that's pretty affordable when I was buying bottles and I was buying gallons, and it's like it was $1 a gallon, and it's pretty affordable. And so sometimes I'll even make rice with the good water, right. And I swear I can tell a difference. So I mean, what Snork's talking about doing is putting a system in. You put it on the sink, you got clean water coming out. That's how I define clean water. That guy says it, so I believe him. I believe he can handle it, and that's what I'm saying. Like all this science out here,
Snort too low. He's gonna have his own water.
What you're saying is exactly true, Dave. It's like people do want to make a bunch of bucks off of it, a bunch of bank off of it, they're gonna co-op of it. But it's like, and that's probably why they're not doing it in the first place. That's why it's not happening and transforming, is because they can't figure out a way to make a bunch of money on it. So it's like, that's why somebody like Snork, who just wants to do it, who feels like it'd be cool to train some people and get them the expertise at the same time, kind of like two-way thing. I think here's how I think they should do it. If you get water, you can sign up after a couple of giveaways and lucky cities that get to be the beta trials. Right. Then be like, okay, you can get your water done, but we need you to somebody to be present who's going to agree to go work on 2 other houses later. So then you get a volunteer, and then you teach that person right there in their own house, and then then get them, or at least maybe you could teach one person like an A type of job, another person a B type of job, and then they both meet up at this other job to do their volunteer work that they promised to get the free water, and then they both sit for that part and spot and do for that part. So I like that. That's how I think it would be kind of fun, because it's like a literal pay it forward, or it's kind of like a I don't know. It's kind of like teach a man to fish and give him a fish at the same time.
Right.
Also neighborly, brotherly. I don't know.
If you listen to Snork, Snork has made this point prior. You have seen water be used by corporations to put the squeeze on people. Nestle, everybody knows about Nestle, and everybody knows about Flint, and everybody knows that they're putting a squeeze on them. And also, Snork mentioned, I believe it was in California, a law which states that you can't acquire water until you purchase all of it from a grocery store. There's some law out there. I don't know if it was passed. And I don't know Puerto Rico. I don't know if they're getting their water from Nestle. I know there are some, there's some issues with it. So
it just has to be. I think we're going to have to get the water. We're going to have to get the oil. We're going to have to get the different things. But it's like what I think though is sometimes what Snork described was that the water pushes up in the aquifer, has a continuous up pressure, and when we drain it too much with irrigation or different things, then agriculture or different things, or Nestle, when you drain it too much, or you're fracking, and you drain it too much, then it loses its upward pressure, and then contaminants can go back down in it. But if you were to keep it cool, and you were to listen to the geologists and the water experts and the conservationists and the ecologists, and you actually listen to the science instead of putting your paid people in there, that would be the way to go forward. And then we can do things, but do it responsibly and sustainably. So if you took a plot of 100 acres and at least kept 25 of it to be natural and for animals and for whatever, that would be wholesome, right? Just some kind of plan or principle, something. But it's like that nobody wants to run with that, because the same thing about the water. You want to make maximum profit, and somebody else is going to do it. And from time immemorial, it's always been like that. Somebody else is going to do it.
Right.
If I don't do it, somebody else can make the money, or then outdo you. And it seems like it reminds me of the same chaos and the same unescapable energy of war. Of there's a I'm from one country A, you're from country B. We kind of throw all the cards on the table, throw down. Everybody's going to throw down. So it's if I'm Germany, you're France, and then Germany wins. Germany takes all. If France wins, France. So it's for the well-being of the French people, or for the well-being of the German people, we have to prevail. And that all made sense for a while, but it's now, it kind of still works that way. But it's at the same time though, I think war shouldn't be looked at this country building, nation building thing. and it shouldn't be looked at this way to build your nation, because like ultimately you're destroying the background, you know,
Yeah.
something of it all. So it's like not a building. But I don't know. There's a lot to say about it. It's tricky.
Yeah. I'm sorry to do this, but yeah, I gotta go. I just wanted to come in for a few minutes and mention that because it's something that I hadn't been able to talk about. But yeah, I gotta go. I gotta get some sleep. I've been running on fumes for a bit and working on different projects with the Unity for J and working on research for the Green Party and different things and contacting my union and I like all over the place. So I should probably get a little bit of rest. But it was nice talking to you again, Ben, and I'll talk to you sometime soon. Evan, I don't
Sounds
know. Good. Yeah, I don't know, Evan, if you wanted to shut down or not.
Yeah, I'm getting a little tired, and sorry I'm not on. I'm just kind of working on some stuff. So
I'm with you. I'm with you.
See you guys.
All right. Hello. Nice seeing you again, and thank you for coming on and all that you do as well, Ben. I know you weren't there for the Thankful Thursdays, and thanks a lot for coming back twice in one night. That's a record, Dave.
Well, now that you'll see that every once in a while when I'm on vacation or whatever. It's very tough for me, when I'm working, because I hate coming on, like getting on the phone and like calling, because I feel like I have to be really pushy because I only have like 10 or 15 minutes, and I hate doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and a lot of people are working and have a lot to say, so it's good. It's good to get back. Hopefully, probably what I will do is first off, I'm doing a lot of research and I don't know when I'm going to come back. I had planned on coming back in May and then in June to doing my streams and everything. I'll probably do pre-recorded stuff more than I used to, simply because it's easier to schedule. Mm-hmm. But I am around. It's just tough with it, with all the different projects I'm doing. It's that those, as you well know, those take precedence, especially Unity for J. And it's very odd, because when I was given the news that I was given that I was going to be outreach, I was like, yes, but you feel kind of bad, because it's like you're given this incredible opportunity to speak with incredible people, but it's because something bad happened. But you just take what you can get, I guess. I mean, I hopefully.
Did he freeze, or is it just me? Everything looks okay. Did he freeze? Oh, there you go. You kind of froze. Not sure what that was.
I won't have to do it as that long, but I'll do it as long as I have to.
Yeah.
And anytime you're given this, obviously the people that gave me this trust me, so that's an incredible honor to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those things where it sucks, and there is unity. I just don't want it to be like, all right, we united for this one thing. Now let's go back to our corners. And then, we're only going to unite because of this. We're not going to unite because the world depends on it, type of thing.
I'm asking him, like, who's the next person we need to focus on? This can't just be about Julian.
It shouldn't just be a person either. I mean, it's the concept of just unity itself is the main goal. I mean,
we have to unite. Whistleblower protection is a sacred thing to me, and it is dismissed. Mm-hmm. You know, you have targeted individuals, you have whistleblowers that you look at Suzie, you look at all of these people.
And it's
Deed wouldn't have her channel.
Yeah, it's not a political issue, that protection. No. I mean, from both the left and the right, so it doesn't matter. But we can't just have people who show up and, you know, of course I'm there for free speech or whatever, or and whatnot, but then just kind of go back to their side and say, you know, just go back to the way things are normally. And then next month comes and then, okay, we're back together again. I mean, we just need to work together full time, all the time, really.
Absolutely. Free Julian Assange, unity for Julian Assange, but unity for all whistleblowers, whether they be on the right. And I was trying
not just for whistleblowers, I'm just saying unity.
And unity, yeah. And for people from all ideologies, because we do have common ground. Mm-hmm. We can't even get certain things done. Like, you know, we can't eat and drink safely. Mm-hmm. I mean, really? Yeah. Really? You know, we can't agree that, you know, that our children should be safe from pedophiles or abivophiles. That, I think that's the term. You know, it's like, I mean, come on. We have to unite on certain just basic human decency principles. And Tommy Robinson, you may despise him, may think he's an asshole or whatever, but there were certain things that he was trying to bring to light that should be brought to light. And I will respect that, as well as Julian or Edward Snowden or Chelsea Manning or anyone. And as I've said before, my mom was a whistleblower, which an environmental whistleblower. We have to, if we do not protect whistleblowers, people will not feel safe to stand up and say, hey, this isn't right. And I mean, where is our freedom of speech and expression and, you know, our, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? How many people don't have that because of what's going on? So, no, I'm not running for office.
All right. Well,
Peace.
Much more to talk about. Thanks.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for